Welcome to English Easy Hub. Join us as we ignite the flames of your English learning journey together.
Please subscribe to watch and embark on your English learning journey. Don't miss out on the exciting content. In this conversation, Jack and his father engage in a thoughtful discussion about Bitcoin (BTC), exploring both its advantages and disadvantages. They touch on fundamental aspects such as Bitcoin's decentralization, financial autonomy, and its potential as a hedge against unstable economies. Jack, curious about the technology, raises concerns about volatility, security, environmental impact, and regulation, while his father provides valuable insights, explaining the complexities of the cryptocurrency world. Their dialogue offers a deep dive into Bitcoin's role in the current financial system and its future potential, highlighting both its revolutionary promise and its inherent risks.
Hey Dad, I've been hearing a lot about Bitcoin, BTC, lately. Some people are calling it the future of money, while others say it's too risky. What do you think are the main benefits of BTC?
Well, Jack, Bitcoin's biggest appeal is that it's decentralized. No single entity, government, or bank controls it, which means it's not subject to traditional financial rules or policies. That makes it powerful, especially in countries with unstable economies or where people don't trust their governments.
So, it's like financial freedom? But doesn't that also come with a lot of responsibility? I mean, if there's no authority, who's going to step in if something goes wrong?
That's exactly the trade-off. With Bitcoin, you're your own bank. The blockchain technology that underpins BTC is extremely secure, but if you lose access to your private keys, the digital credentials to your wallet, your funds are lost forever. There's no customer support to recover your account.
That's intense. So it's kind of like having a safe with no backup key. But at the same time, it's appealing because it feels like you're taking control of your own money.
Precisely. In traditional banking, you rely on third parties, banks, payment processors, and so on. They charge fees, dictate when you can move your money, and they can even freeze your assets. Bitcoin removes these intermediaries, giving people more autonomy. In some parts of the world, that's crucial for survival.
Like in places with crazy inflation, right? I read somewhere that in countries like Venezuela, people use Bitcoin to preserve their wealth because the local currency is basically worthless.
Exactly. Bitcoin becomes a hedge against hyperinflation in situations like that. In countries where governments restrict access to foreign currencies or impose strict capital controls, BTC allows people to move their money freely and protect its value. It's a way to sidestep oppressive regimes or failing economies.
That makes sense. But what about day-to-day use? Can Bitcoin really be practical for things like buying groceries or paying rent? I've heard it's too slow and expensive to process small transactions.
You're right that Bitcoin, in its current form, isn't ideal for everyday transactions. Processing times can be slow, and transaction fees can rise depending on network congestion. That's why other solutions, like the Lightning Network, are being developed to make Bitcoin faster and cheaper for small, frequent transactions.
The Lightning Network? What's that?
It's a secondary layer built on top of the Bitcoin blockchain. It allows for quicker transactions by creating secure, off-chain payment channels between users. Think of it like running a tab at a bar. Only the final total gets settled on the blockchain. It speeds things up and reduces fees.
That's pretty clever. So, in theory, Bitcoin could become more usable for everyday stuff over time. But what's the point if it's so volatile? One day it's worth $60,000, and the next it's $30,000. How do people trust it as a currency?
Volatility is one of Bitcoin's biggest challenges. Its price swings are largely driven by speculation, news, and market sentiment. That's why some people don't view it as a currency, but more as a store of value, like digital gold. They're banking on its long-term potential rather than using it for daily expenses.
Digital gold, that's an interesting way to look at it. But gold has been around for thousands of years. How can we be sure Bitcoin will stand the test of time?
We can't be sure, honestly. Bitcoin is only about 15 years old, so it's still very young. But it's built on sound cryptographic principles and a decentralized network that's proven resilient so far. While it's impossible to predict the future, Bitcoin has already weathered several major crises and continues to grow. The more people adopt it, the more its network effect strengthens.
Speaking of adoption, do you think governments will ever fully accept Bitcoin, or will they keep cracking down on it?
That's the million-dollar question. Governments are in a tricky position. On one hand, they see the potential of blockchain technology for things like transparency and efficiency. On the other hand, they don't like losing control over monetary policy and the ability to tax and regulate. Some countries, like El Salvador, have embraced Bitcoin as legal tender, while others, like China, have banned it outright. The future probably lies somewhere in between, with governments finding ways to regulate it without stifling innovation.
But won't regulation take away the whole point of Bitcoin? Isn't it supposed to be about freedom from government control?
Regulation is inevitable, but it doesn't have to completely undermine Bitcoin's purpose. In fact, some argue that proper regulation could stabilize the market and encourage more widespread adoption. If people feel more protected and confident, they might be more willing to invest in or use Bitcoin. It's all about finding the right balance.
That makes sense, I guess. What about the environmental impact, though? I keep hearing that Bitcoin mining is terrible for the planet because it uses so much electricity.
That's a valid concern. Bitcoin's proof-of-work consensus algorithm, which ensures the security and decentralization of the network, requires significant computational power. Mining operations in places like China have been criticized for relying on coal-based energy. However, a growing number of miners are transitioning to renewable energy sources. Some estimates suggest that a significant percentage of Bitcoin mining is already powered by green energy.
So there's hope that Bitcoin can become more eco-friendly over time?
Yes, especially with innovations in renewable energy and improvements in mining efficiency. Some even argue that Bitcoin could drive investment in clean energy infrastructure. But the debate is ongoing, and the environmental impact remains one of the biggest challenges to its long-term viability.
I never realized how complex this whole Bitcoin thing is. Do you think it will ever replace traditional money, or will it always be a niche thing for tech-savvy people?
I don't think Bitcoin will fully replace traditional currencies anytime soon. It's more likely that it will coexist with them, serving different purposes. While traditional money will remain dominant for day-to-day transactions, Bitcoin could act as a store of value or a tool for financial freedom in areas where people need it most. But in the long run, as technology improves and adoption grows, who knows?
So, it's like Bitcoin is more of a complement to traditional systems rather than a total replacement?
Exactly. It challenges the status quo, but doesn't necessarily eliminate it. It's similar to how email didn't destroy physical mail, but transformed how we communicate. Bitcoin is reshaping our ideas about money and ownership, but it's still evolving. We're in the early stages of that evolution.
Wow, I never thought about it that way. It feels like we're living through the beginning of something massive, like how the internet changed the world.
You're absolutely right. The internet took decades to reach the level of impact it has today, and we might be seeing something similar with Bitcoin and blockchain technology. The key is to stay informed, understand the risks, and make smart decisions. It's a fascinating space, but not without its challenges.
Thanks for breaking it all down, Dad. I feel like I have a much better understanding of Bitcoin now. It's not just about getting rich quick, it's about a new way of thinking about money and freedom.
That's exactly it, Jack. Always happy to dive into these deep topics with you. Just remember, with any investment or new technology, the real value comes from understanding it, not just chasing the hype.
As the conversation concludes, both Jack and his father come to realize that Bitcoin represents much more than just a speculative investment. It symbolizes a new era in finance, where control is decentralized and traditional systems are challenged. While Bitcoin may never fully replace conventional currencies, its role as an alternative store of value and a means of financial freedom in unstable regions is undeniable. The dialogue underscores the importance of understanding Bitcoin's intricacies, rather than simply chasing hype. As Bitcoin and blockchain technology continue to evolve, this conversation reveals that their future will likely be shaped by a balance between innovation, regulation, and environmental sustainability. Ultimately, the value of Bitcoin lies not just in potential profits but in reshaping how we think about money, ownership, and autonomy in the digital age.
Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share to keep the English learning journey alive.